Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Rice and Cannoli podcast. I am Rice.
And I'm Cannoli.
First of all, I need to apologize. It's going to be a bit of a shorter episode. I am currently traveling in France and, I'm actually on vacation. So,
Hey, you know
trying
what?
to.
There's no need to apologize when it's your birthday.
Thank you, sir.
So happy birthday to you.
So yeah, Jim and I have birthdays just a couple of weeks apart. Life's great
Fancy
little
that.
coincidences.
Two August birthdays. It's amazing.
So we have a jam-packed show, though. We're gonna try and get as much in as we can. So we have we actually want to talk about Kalshi again. This time, actually, in a very different light than perhaps how we positioned Kalshi last time. There has been a rash of exits from OpenAI. So we're going to yap about that a little bit. And Claude is, basically inserting secret patterns into our words. So even when you copy them and paste them, it'll still show up as, Claude generated this text. And so those are the main stories we're going to touch on. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. That really helps us out in the algorithm. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, share an episode with a friend, maybe this one. And actually, just really quickly, I wanted to jump in before we jump into all the news. We wanted to thank those of you who checked out our vibe coding episode. Hopefully that was interesting for and educational for y'all. We are probably going to do a part 2 where we finish off the website. So if you're interested in that, again, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, let us know. Let's jump right into it.
Part 1 is live at riceandcannoli.com and obviously incomplete, but that's where part 2 will come in. So stay tuned.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, do head over and check that out. Give us any comments or thoughts you guys have on the layout. So now, without further ado, I am going to jump into one of our favorite topics, Kalshi, predictive markets. Yeah! And this is not just reserved for Kalshi alone. So why I wanted to talk about Kalshi again, Jim, I wanted to. I pulled an article here. There's been a lot of primaries recently for the Democratic Party. I'm not sure if you're aware. And
yeah, I mean, I for one don't follow politics too closely, especially primary stuff. I've never kind of had my finger on the pulse. But I guess it is 2026, so it's that time of the decade, I guess.
It is that time of the presidency. You are right. And what I want to bring up here is this particular tidbit here. So I'm just going to read the first couple sentences of this article here, and we'll link these articles in the show notes later, so you guys can read the full article. So Kalshi traders price Francesca Hong, who was the Democratic nominee. She was one of the. She wanted to become one of the nominees for the gubernatorial primary, and she was priced at a 95% chance to win on Tuesday. Those sound like pretty good odds, right, Jim?
Did you put any money down on that?
No, I did not, because obviously I can't. I'd rather put my money into my startup, right? Even though that's a gamble, but I feel like that's a more kind of for sure thing. And here's what kind of gets me. These prediction markets always position themselves as we are a better way of teasing out the truth, right? That's what they say. And that's why they're also okay with insider trading, because they believe that these insider trades will lead to more truthful outcomes, right? Like that's their whole thing. Jim,
Yes.
I know you haven't been paying attention to politics, and especially like this is with the Wisconsin gubernatorial primary.
Maybe if I was in Wisconsin, I'd be paying more attention.
Perhaps you would. At 95.5%, do you think Francesca won?
Well, given the way you're framing this setup, I'm going to say no.
No, no, she did not win. She, in fact, lost by 0.5%. Right? And
Lost by 0.5%.
half a
Oh,
percent. Like,
that's really. Wait a minute. Okay. I assumed that you were going to say something like it flipped like 95% in the other direction or something crazy, but it's pretty close.
So it was close, right? However,
Okay.
does this, like, for me, if I'm reading the prediction markets, this is 95.5% to win, right? To me, this is like a guaranteed win, right? There's no way this person could lose, not even by 0.5%, right? Like, if anything, this person should be winning by like 20%, right? Like, she should be double digits beating this person, right? To not losing to her opposition, right? So like, how is this actually more truthful, right, than pure gambling? Like, this is just pure speculative. I think this is just more proof that this is just speculative, right? And this is not the first time this has happened. I don't know if you're aware. In Michigan, there's a candidate called Abdul Al Sayed, and he was also, like, I think he was something ridiculously high again, like 90% chance of winning, right? He did in fact end up winning his Senate, the Senate primary, but it was only by 1%. Right? Again, to me, like, if you're predicting at a 90+% power, right? Like, this person should be destroying the competition.
It's interesting because I have an idea of how things are kind of playing out here, because if you're voting in one of these primaries, you've got to live in that area and be a registered voter in that area, but anybody in the world can throw money down on Kalshi or Polymarket or any one of these platforms. So I guess it's not surprising in some ways that despite the heavy skew, it didn't turn out the way that most people were betting, because they're probably not in that area. I would actually be really curious to see the overlap of how many people who voted also threw money down on the prediction markets. I don't know how you would even get that data, but
That'd be a really interesting crosstab. If anyone out there has access to that data, please, I would be more than happy to crunch the numbers. I too think that this is that would be a incredible extra data point to view. Again, I think this goes back to even like the beginning of not this time, but like just these prediction markets, right? Like, they are, like, I think, again, this is, to me, is pure unadulterated gambling. That's all this is, right? Like, this is not giving us any better extra information that we couldn't have gotten from like a pollster, right? Because the pollsters had Francesca Hong winning as well, right? The I think the pollsters had Francesca Hong winning by double digits, and they also had Abdul Sayed also winning by double digits, right? So like, these pollsters are also, and I imagine pollsters are polling people who are actually going to be voting in these primaries, right? So to me, again, right, like, this is just like, so the information we're getting on these gambling sites, let's just call it what it is not any better than what a pollster would get.
well, I was going to say, it's ironic because before you had prediction markets, all you had was polls for any kind of there's X% of this happening. And those were already wrong. Like, they already were getting those wrong in several past elections. So I feel like it's just amplifying what's already broken.
Yeah.
Because take, for example, I don't know about you. If somebody came up and tried to poll me, like, in person, I don't know, maybe at like the local shopping center, I don't want to go talk to somebody about anything, let alone that. I'm just gonna keep walking. They don't know
True.
what's in my head, and there's probably a lot of people out there that are like that. So, it's no surprise that in the past the polls are wrong, and now you have whatever's going on with Kalshi here. Yeah, and it's who's to say that? Again, we've talked about bad intentions with platforms like that, where maybe insider trading, let's goose it all the way up to a super high percentage where everybody's betting one way and the insiders bet the other way, knowing that there's a good chance that that candidate doesn't win.
So speaking of, you know, getting stuff wrong, um, should we talk a little bit about these OpenAI exits that we've been seeing of
Yeah,
late? I
there's
find this to be very interesting.
I think it's interesting because Anthropic, OpenAI, they're supposed to be having some supposed IPOs soon, and well, there's some big departures happening. Usually, you don't see that too often ahead of that. So,
I was
um,
thinking of that exactly. Like these people are leaving tons of money on the table, right?
yeah,
Like actually, no, Denise, she's left less than a year from joining. So she's not even vested. She's not getting her first year cliff. So she's leaving
yeah,
everything. She's just like, fuck it, I'm out.
yeah. So the latest person of note to leave OpenAI is Denise Dresser, who prior to being at OpenAI was at Salesforce for over a decade. Um,
So she ain't no quitter.
yeah, I mean, right there, she's not hopping around every 2 years like you see in some Silicon Valley circles. Um, so it's very suspicious. Um, there is some kind of, I don't know what you would call it, but they've had, maybe I think it's interesting to kind of go into the rash of the different people leaving and looking at the reasons for why they're leaving and see if there's any kind of
Is there a
connection
through
here.
line?
Right. Like, is this all just coincidental, or is this something more?
The company has said Dresser is leaving to quote unquote pursue other opportunities, according to a release. OpenAI has hired Dali Rajic, who previously served as president and chief operating officer of the cybersecurity company Wiz, to replace her. Let's see
That's a
here.
weird.
That's a
First off,
yeah.
that's a
Where does this guy
weird.
come from?
I mean, Wiz is in the security world. They got acquired by Google
By
pretty
Google, right?
recently.
Yeah. So this guy just made a boatload of money from that, and then now he's just like, yeah, maybe I'll try this OpenAI thing.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out, I suppose. I don't know. Like, given the background, it's like, is that really the right person for the job? But
But I think the more interesting piece in this article is Dresser's departure marks the second senior exit at OpenAI in days. Longtime OpenAI executive Brad Lightcap, what a crazy name, Lightcap, announced announced his decision to leave the company on Tuesday, writing in a post on X that he is going to start something new. Lightcap had been at OpenAI for 8 years and was a longtime friend and colleague of the company's CEO, Sam Altman. So, like, I don't know, man. Like this, okay, this is a little bit less weird because at least all his stuff is vested, right? So he's still gonna become a multi-millionaire, perhaps even a billionaire if OpenAI, IPOs at $1 trillion valuation or whatever, right? But this is your friend for a very long time that you like built this thing with, right? Like, what's going on? Like, what do you think's happening here?
well, and starting something new. What if?
Yeah,
What is that something new? I guess TBD. But if it turns out to
closed
be
AI.
something adjacent to this AI world, possible, I don't know, stabbing in the back of I know these secrets
Yeah,
from OpenAI. I'm going to go start my own thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty
that's
crazy. And as COO, he's across a lot of different things.
well,
Like
and
he knows
I
a lot of
guess
stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
because we don't know what he's starting. It's just like, if the IPO is truly coming soon, why not wait till after that
Yeah,
and
like why
then
wouldn't
go?
you wait a year?
I guess you could play devil's advocate and say maybe it's strange if he left right after, and that would hurt the stock price.
But 8 years is also interesting, right? Because your typical vest period is 4 years, right? You got your first year cliff, and then the 3 year kind of lock in after that. And then typically how these startups do things to keep talented people is they give you a refresh, right? Which I think vests for 4 years as well is the standard. So maybe he's just like, yeah, all my stuff is done, so like I'm out. I don't need the extra juice.
Yeah, and you also don't know the toll that working on something of this gravity takes on someone, because I do know that there have been some departures that are health related reasons as well. So, for example, Kate Rauch, I think I'm saying that right, was
Oh
their
yeah.
CMO, I believe, left in April for cancer recovery. Fiji Simo, product and business chief, he was the ex Instacart CEO, stepped away in July, citing a severe exacerbation of chronic illness. And I guess Dresser, the one who in this story has just recently announced leaving, was picking up some of Simo's duties as well. So sounds like she's she's doing like triple duty in terms of her work. So that could very well be a reason why she left, and has absolutely nothing to do with something more mischievous underneath. But again, if the IPO is coming soon, you can't stick it out for even like, one more year. At that level, I don't know. Seems a little suspicious. Also, I do know, and I don't want to go full conspiracy theory mode here. However,
Oh, I don't have
if
my
you were going to
hat
have people
in
leave the
France.
company, wouldn't citing health reasons be the best cover up of what might really be happening? Just throwing it out there.
It, I mean, it's probably the most defensible reason why you would leave
Who's going to
any
question that?
company.
It's like health problems. Yeah, well, go take care of yourself. And that's a unavoidable situation that nobody would question. I'm not claiming that they don't have health problems, by the way. So don't come after me for that. I'm just saying, if I was to pretend to be insane Altman's twisted little mind, I could see that being the cover story, uh, if they wanted to go that route.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I agree, right? Like I think that if anyone if you're seeing people leave the company claiming health issues is probably the easiest way to essentially shut people up so that people wouldn't question these exits, right? However, I think that if you it's one of those things where I think you probably can't go to that well so often, right? Because what is it now? You have the COO, you have the product guy, you have the marketing person, you
You also
have
have Kevin Well, VP of
Kevin Well.
OpenAI for Science, left in April.
Yeah, and then there's Denise now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's five massive like senior leadership position people that have left in the last 6 months. Like, so I think that if you I feel it feels like if you continue to go to that well of like, oh, people's having health problems, it's like, dude, does working at OpenAI is it just fundamentally detriment to your health?
Right. And as a side note, there was something interesting in this whole story that I just thought was, I don't know why this just clicked for me now, but how do you think Denise Dresser's backfill got the job at OpenAI?
Probably a referral of some sort. I feel like that's usually how people get jobs nowadays. It's definitely
Especially
not
coming from
LinkedIn.
Wiz, right? So Rajic, I'm assuming, um, who is taking over her role, was introduced to OpenAI through Thrive Capital's founder Josh Kushner, who is, and I don't know why I
Of the
never pieced this together,
Kushners.
the brother of Jared Kushner.
Oh,
Um,
of course. This is incredible.
yeah, and according to a person with knowledge of the matter who was not authorized to speak on the recruiting process, Thrive has been one of OpenAI's most prominent backers, which is also interesting considering that when Trump took the office in his latest term, that all of those AI folks were in the White House on camera, including Sam Altman. Lots of
I wonder
connections going
why.
on
I
there.
wonder why. We'll just put the questions out there. We're not claiming anything. We're not saying anything. We're just putting it out.
Yeah. You think Thrive Capital might have a bias against the type of founders that they're willing to fund, depending on political alliance? I haven't looked into that, but I think that'd be an interesting exercise for anybody out there.
Yeah, I imagine it might have some.
Analytics nerds unite! Let's go. um, Also tangential to that, did you know that he, along with Bob Iger of Disney, just bought the Los Angeles Lakers for $12.5 billion?
I did not know that. I keep up. I rely on you to give me all my
For
ball
your hard hitting
knowledge.
sports news. I mean,
All my ball knowledge. I'll give you the
yeah.
hockey stuff, but ball knowledge I take from you.
So yeah, we got a Kushner and Disney owning the Lakers. I mean, at least a Disney thing. You could say like, oh, you got Disneyland there in LA. That's cool. Very closely connected. Is that a positive to come out of that story?
I mean, sure, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, if we're looking for silver linings, Jim,
Yeah.
that can count
Well,
as
I
one.
think about $12.5 billion, by the way, for a sports franchise. That's a very large number. I know when the
How does this
Warriors.
how does this work? Do you know, like, when mega wealthy people buy sports franchises, do they have to have the cash, right? Like, I'm asking because, like, what's to stop Elon, Mister I'm a trillionaire, to buy every single sports team known to man?
Yeah, you're good question, and I am certainly not the right person to give the answers there. However, I would also argue that I don't think Elon cares about sports. I don't think he would be
No, well, just look at his
caught.
body.
Yeah. The Warriors were sold to an investment group led by Joe Lacob and Peter Guber from former owner Chris Cohan for, at the time, a record $450 million.
Holy, it's probably worth so much more than that now. This
I
was
want to
before the
say,
titles, right?
oh yeah, okay. So it was just off the We Believe era, where the
Yeah.
Warriors at the 8th seed upset the number 1 Dallas Mavericks. Take that, Dallas. But we had just drafted Steph Curry in 2009, and then did we have David Lee? So I mean, there was the start of some interesting things starting to happen, but record-wise, team was terrible, right?
Right. Remember when I moved to SF in 2013, and 2013 should be an interesting year for you, right?
Because we started to be good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
I get.
I grew up in Calgary. You know this, right? Like, I had no access to professional basketball, and I was like, oh my god, because, like, I obviously don't follow basketball that much. So I didn't know that the Warriors were really kind of had been improving since 2009 or whatever, right? And I still remember thinking in my mind, I'm like, oh yo, the Warriors, they suck. I'm like, I'm gonna be able to go to watch NBA games for cheap.
Well, you could for the longest time. I mean, in the 90s, they were running their promotion. It's a great timeout to get people into this. Like, you would get like $10 tickets if you were, far enough away from the court. But I gasped while you were talking there because I just looked up what the current valuation is. Estimated net worth valuation of $10.8 to $11 billion for the Warriors currently. So that 12.5 by the Lakers, which you could argue which one is more valuable in the broader scheme of the NBA and globally. Because the Lakers are, pretty iconic franchise despite my hatred of them. I guess that falls in line. If that's what the Warriors are valued at, it's market rate.
I suppose it's fair. I suppose it's fair.
I suppose. That's an ungodly amount of money. But think about that. $450 million 16 years ago is now worth $11 billion. That return's insane. So
God.
I guess, had they not been successful over the past
what if they just
decade or so?
Continued with the Sprewell days?
Hey, there was hope with Sprewell. Okay, don't bring back those bad memories. No, like I think the valuation was still gone up just naturally, but not this level.
This is crazy.
The Bay Area is a prime market in general for all sports.
Like you still would have, except for the Oakland teams.
No, even the Oakland teams. I mean, well, they're not here anymore.
I was just gonna say, I don't know how you're gonna defend this.
I mean, again, Bay Area sports has a pretty rich history, and loyal fans, and so, assuming they were still here, you would still have a lot of
diehards,
diehards, that keep the ship afloat, even if the records stink. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting piece that came out of this OpenAI article, because I always go down these like rabbit holes that are tangents sometimes when it catches my eye, and I was like, huh. And I put two and two together.
That is actually, I mean, I hadn't thought about like what kind of founders Thrive would invest in piece, but yeah, it is very interesting that this guy got a job referral from a Kushner.
Very interesting. Yeah. Well,
all right.
Moving on.
Let's talk about Anthropic.
Yes. I mean, there's never a lack of news talking about these frontier AI companies. I think we've talked about OpenAI a lot. Let's give Anthropic some sunlight, shall we?
Dario needs some love.
Yeah, he does. He looks like the kind of guy that maybe didn't get hugged enough when he was younger. So, of the various stories we could cover right now, I think the hot one is watermarks. Have you heard about watermarks?
I have. Living in the EU, this is something that has been all over my various social pages. The Anthropic watermarks, and I guess you'll probably get into this further, right? Like they're not going to be like all the other labs basically have signed on to this, I feel like, right?
Yep. So this is from TechCrunch. Anthropic shares more details about how Claude's new watermarks will work. So Anthropic published a blog post on Friday seeking to answer some basic questions about how it will watermark the text generated by its chatbot Claude. So will the watermarking actually work? Will it be hidden with editing? How does it affect code? And there's a lot of consequences that a lot of the internet is debating right now, which we'll get into in a minute. But it says right here, users have been debating the move, and there's something called the EU AI Acts Transparency Code. I don't know how much you know about that, considering you are in the EU. Has that crossed your radar?
Yeah, this like the EU AI Act is definitely something that it's like a love-hate relationship, I think, for me. I think that it's good to obviously regulate and have regulations in place for this, in some ways transformational technology. However, some of it is so restrictive as far as like what we can and can't do. So just to give you just a super quick blurb, right, about like what we can do in the can do in the US and can't do in the EU is we actually cannot analyze um, our participant interview data in the EU because we're not allowed to analyze nonverbal cues based on the EU AI Act. This is something that we can totally do
Interesting.
in the US with no problems at all. So we have to basically have separate implementations for our different clients across the globe.
Are you serious? So you have to do double the work?
I mean, it's not necessarily double. It's just that like we now have to make sure that any client in the EU, this is it's disabled. Like they won't be able to access this. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I'm very well aware of how restrictive EU legislation is in general. Like with our startup, right now we're not serving anybody in the EU because we don't have a cluster set up in a data center over there across the pond. So until we do that, we technically cannot be serving EU clients, which is very annoying because, leave it to some bad actors to ruin it for startups like us who are doing things the honest way. Will not mess with their data or resell it. So I'm less up to speed on the legislation around AI, and so a little maybe a backstory that's relevant to this TechCrunch article.
Yeah, let's do that.
So the EU AI Act is the EU's law regulating AI. It passed in 2024. And what it does is it sorts AI by risk level. And then some uses of AI have been banned, where like high risk uses are heavily regulated. And then generative AI gets some transparency rules. And this applies to anybody that's selling into the EU. So very similar to what I just mentioned about our startup. Yeah, US companies are the ones that essentially have to deal with the pain if they want to enter the market. Now, this is the first comprehensive AI law of any kind anywhere in the world, and that's why it's setting the kind of global precedent for what will happen from a legislative standpoint. No company builds a separate EU model. So the EU is dictating essentially here. So there's something called Article 50 in the transparency section of this act that says that AI generated content must be marked so that machines can identify it as AI. And this covers anything from text, images, audio, video. And this section governs disclosure, but it doesn't cover what AI is allowed to do or not do. So I guess it's up to different parties to determine if they discover that if something has been AI generated, how they act on it. There's a code of practice, which is the Commission's how-to guide for complying with Article 50. It is voluntary, but it's the benchmark that regulators use. And we all know that those EU regulators love to go ham.
They
I'm
do
sure you're
indeed.
very well aware of that over there.
They do indeed.
Yeah, so that took effect like basically near my birthday this August.
Like a couple weeks ago.
And so that Anthropic is now like, all right, well, I guess we got to ship some watermarks to comply if we want to keep selling into the EU. So that then leads into, this article and many others that have come out. Let's see. Yeah, watermarking does not impact the quality of Claude's output, the company said. To a reader, a watermarked response is indistinguishable from an unwatermarked one. And that point is actually being debated online as well. More on that in a minute. So Anthropic said it will be using the synth ID text approach that Google DeepMind outlined in 2024, and that it plans to release a watermark detection API. It also noted that watermarking is distinct from the AI detection approaches offered by companies like Pangram, never heard of them, that look for tells, quote unquote, in the writing. So yeah, right away, I immediately think, okay, what would this watermarking affect? Like very obviously, anybody using it for writing text, maybe LinkedIn posts, perhaps. I know a lot of people are complaining about slop. But I mean, it's just a watermark, unless a platform like LinkedIn starts enforcing, oh, we don't allow it. I know they put their little button on there. Now you can react to people's posts. That's like, I suspect this is AI slop. And now I bet you they're going to try to hook into this API. But until they say like we're banning users off the platform or banning posts of this nature, I don't really see how it's going to slow the problem down.
No, I don't. I personally feel like it's like we have been just inundated with this deluge of slop on LinkedIn to the point where LinkedIn is almost like, to be honest, it's almost unusable for me, right? Like I go on and my feed is just full of this crap, and you're just like, oh my God, right? And
it's not this, it's this.
Yeah, it's not this, it's that, and then the three thing comparisons, right? It's just it's there's so much garbage, and even if it were flagged as AI, right? Like unless, like you said, like unless LinkedIn decides like we're gonna just like outright ban these kinds of posts, right, to the shadow realm, and never surface them again, like because I don't know if you can ban the users, right? Like is that I don't know if it's against the TOS to have, but is it against TOS to have not your own authentic writing, right? Like because there's people who manage LinkedIn accounts for other folks, right? Like for CEOs and stuff like that, and they do the writing for them. Do you ban those people, right? Like I think, I don't think you can ban people for not using stuff that's their writing, right? But you can probably ban the use of this.
I would like to throw out a very simple solution to all of this. They just need to, much like YouTube still technically has, a dislike button. Simple.
Yeah.
If everybody just says, I hate this in mass, and then the algorithm's gonna be like, well, we can't circulate this because nobody likes it. Problem solved. It still exists. The user's still there.
Best way for users to be like, this content is garbage.
Like, why did we get so soft on the internet that like people can't handle a dislike button?
Hurt people's feelings, Jim.
Boo hoo.
If your video got ratioed, your feelings would hurt.
Well, do better or go touch grass. I mean, nobody's forcing you to keep, putting up with it.
Man. I think you're right. Like I agree with you. Like the getting rid of the thumbs down on these social platforms has probably been one of the worst things that these companies have done. I agree with you with YouTube, right? Like I know they're trying to combat a lot of this AI slop, right? Like and we're potentially going to be impacted by this because they've basically doubled the view counts necessary before you can get monetized. They've doubled the I think it's to combat this AI slop, dude. I think that's what they're trying to do. But it's like, you're right, just bring back the thumbs down button and these channels wouldn't exist.
Yeah, quick note on that. Like, we obviously are pretty new into this podcast. Screw you, YouTube. Like,
seriously,
we have basically till February to what do we got to hit? 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers in order to be monetizable. And now they're doubling that count to 8,000 hours, which is insanely. It's already hard enough for creators to do 4,000, and now you're doubling that. Like, screw you, Google.
So, like, guys, if you're fans of us, get your friends and family to subscribe. Watch our videos from beginning to end. Watch it while you're showering or whatever. Hopefully we can entertain you.
And yeah, like, subscribe yet again, hit that notification bell, and please help us. Dear God, what are we doing in 2026? We're like devolving.
We really are. We really are. Oh
Yeah, but
man.
yeah, like you're right. Like, and you mentioned something ratio. I don't know. I don't know if everybody knows. If you've been online, if you're chronically online, like the two of us are, we know what that means. But to anybody who doesn't know what that means, in the absence of a dislike button or a thumbs down, what you'll often see, and I think this is probably more prominent on a platform like X, because that's kind of where I feel like this originated,
Yeah.
was if something has way more comments than it does likes. And that's usually a tell that people don't like what's going
People are
on.
not
And
happy
obviously
with
you would
this.
confirm it by going into the comments and reading them to see the sentiment, but it's almost always the case that when you have that kind of ratio between likes and comments, that's what that means. So just bring back the dislike button.
It's easy. It's so simple, right? It's so
Simple.
simple. Who cares about people's feelings? I don't. I'm just kidding. I do. I care. I care a lot about people's
Wait.
feelings.
Wait a minute now.
What? Oh man. Listen,
So yeah,
Jim.
I
No, go ahead.
think, what other consequences do you think of this watermarking come to your mind? So we got kind of the AI slop, and how the watermark might or might not affect that. I can think of one.
Yeah, please.
Which is code. Now you kind of had this you kind of always have historically had this issue where, like, when it was the Stack Overflow days and people would just use Stack Overflow examples and use that in their code, but then that code came from somebody else.
Right.
So is that like copyright, or licensing issues there, right? So you already kind of had a bit of a gray, but nothing material ever came out of that from like an enforcement standpoint. So people would constantly, and to this day, are copying code examples. And to be fair, I mean, there's only so many ways to write certain parts of code.
Yeah.
It's like,
hello world.
Yep, this is a for loop. There you go. Copy paste. Nope, you can't copy that. Now with AI, it's like that on steroids. But I wonder if they'd ever be crazy enough to try to get to the point where now you have watermarks in the AI generated code, which, according to this article, is not the case right now. The watermark is only being applied in the comments that it generates with the code.
Right.
So if you don't have comments, there's no watermark, supposedly. But regardless, like, let's say one day they decided to add it in. Now, what if they try later to say that any code generated by their LLM is now their legally owned property, right, and you got to pay up in order to use it, or we're going to sue you? And meanwhile, you have everybody and their brother vibe coding right now. Big companies, small companies.
Or if we kind of take this to the most evil conclusion of this, is imagine a world where like this code, like these comments, right? They're the only comments right now, but let's say they're code or whatever as well. And you have these watermarks in the code, right? That the AI is leaving for itself, right? So we already know from last week that these agents created their own message board. And when that message board was discovered, they found other ways to pass messages to each other, right? So what's to now stop these agents from passing literally invisible messages now through code? And, someone has like a let's kill all of the vibe code websites button, or an agent just presses it because they discover that that's probably the most useful way to clean up AI slop on the internet or something.
Scary.
Yeah, I mean,
well, there's other scary things to think about with this. I found this. I had no problem with this until I tried to use it on fine-tuning a legal brief. I had carefully chosen each adjective, etc. And now after each polish that Claude chooses, different words that for non-legal work would be fine, but completely destroys the watertight argument I am trying to construct. That's something I would not have thought about until reading this, that
Just
because
picking words.
it's biasing the word selection as part of the watermark process. And when you need something that is basically deterministic accuracy with what's being constructed, that just invalidates its capability.
Well, who would have thought that you can't do anything deterministic with these AI models that are predictive word pickers?
Yeah, it's like, duh. Yeah. That's super crazy. Interesting. So the fallout from this, will be interesting to watch unfold. And you don't see OpenAI doing that yet, but will they follow suit? And will this continue to boost, open source models, Chinese models? I have to assume. There's supposedly reports that
China,
some people are canceling their Claude subscriptions. I got a feeling though that a lot of companies aren't. They're just like, we're too addicted. Give us our fix, please.
Token maxing, dude. They're addicted to token maxing.
Yeah.
So, Jim, let's end off today's episode with a bit of a recall and a slight, I would say, palate cleanser, if you will, because we try to, again, we've been trying to make the end of the episodes a little bit less doom and gloomy. And so with that being said,
no more we're all doomed.
Yeah, the AIs are going to take over all of our code. I found this Instagram post and I found it very interesting and I thought it was pretty funny. And let me share with you on screen.
So
God. This is a real ad. This is a real ad that someone bought and paid for in a subway station.
Do we know where?
Let me see here. What are the comments?
Does it say? That's why.
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately, I can't figure out where it is. But
so maybe for audio listeners, it's an ad with a big fat picture of what we assume is Jeffrey Epstein wearing a pair of glasses, and there's some text to the side of his head saying "glasses for people who don't do consent."
And then there's a little text bubble that says, "Finally, a pair that suits me."
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Dude. Whoever did this is a legend.
I mean,
wait a minute. Are we sure that's not Palm Beach Pete?
Yeah, I thought this was pretty funny because when we talked about it, that was one of the things we talked about. I said, I called them pervert glasses, right? And I feel like this term pervert glasses actually just kind of converged and became a thing by itself. I think a lot of people had the same nomenclature for these glasses, and now you have the biggest known pervert who was the biggest known pervert in the world, I suppose, in Jeffrey Epstein, selling these. He probably sells them better than Kylie Jenner, I think, maybe.
I mean, can't believe I'm going to say this, but they look appropriate for his face. Stylistically speaking.
Oh my God.
That's a joke, by the way.
Jeez.
But yeah, that's cool that it's kind of getting some traction with that moniker of pervert glasses, because nobody wants this. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody that wants it, but by and large,
we know who wants it.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder, we still don't have those Epstein files, and it's a topic that founders don't touch usually. I saw somebody on LinkedIn, I believe is an investor, I won't name them, who put up a poll, I want to say like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and it stuck with me. It was like, have you read the Epstein files? Yes, no. And then maybe like some other options like don't care or don't know, or I forget what the 4 options
Whatever.
were, but it
doesn't really matter.
There was an even split, or it wasn't not have no, that wasn't have you read them. It was do you care about them?
Right.
It was an even split between yes and no, within a small percentage in the like don't care. That seems wild to me that you don't care or you don't want them to. I don't know. Like should founders care about that?
I mean, listen,
Or the LinkedIn
Jim.
world, I guess.
The here's the last callback here. The now wife of Dario.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're aware of this. In 2011, she actually tried to get funding for a porn startup from Jeffrey Epstein.
Real? Oh boy. That Well, as George Carlin would say, it's a big club and you're not in it.
And I think, Jim, that is the perfect place for us to end today's episode. I appreciate hanging out with you, my friend.
Enjoy the rest of your trip, by the way, and your birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, we will catch you guys all next week.
Peace.
Bye.